A very important Lieutenant General level meeting is going on between India and China right now. But to understand what exactly is happening in Ladakh, I have with me right now Dr. J Jaganathan, who is Assistant Professor in Department of National Security Studies in Central University of Jammu. So, welcome to Straight Line.
Hi, welcome. Thanks.
I want to understand from you what exactly is happening in Ladakh right now. Like, how far has China intruded in Ladakh's territory?
See, based on the reports which has been coming out in the newspaper, there has been activities and there has been tremendous amount of encroachment by the Chinese side. This has been built up for more than a month. When we are all busy with dealing with the COVID-19 situations here, the Chinese they have been quite active. Not only on the border areas, but also in the in ocean, Indian Ocean, where the People Liberation Army Navy is also quite active. But with specific to Ladakh, this has a pattern for last few years. I would say since the current President Xi Jinping became the president in 2013, this sort of trespasses started. Then you had in between a Doklam issue, then the similar sort of the military build-up, and since it is a kind of a undemarcated border line of actual control, it is not the McMahon line as it has been, some of the media has been reported. This is actually a line of actual control. This particular valley, the Galwan Valley, what the reports been the newspaper and also the ground reports are indicating in this news media, is that there are some particular points, especially east of Ladakh, some areas have been which have been under our control has been encroached by the Chinese, and also the Pangong Slow Lake, where there are frequent activities. So this also created sort of concern that there is tremendous activities of the Chinese in those areas. Although it has been reported, but we were like quite sort of understanding that this has been the regular routine. Whenever they come for the patrolling and they cross and come for forward areas up to the Indian market, the line where we used to control the border lines. Then after that they go back. This has been the trend. And when the winter approaches, they will retreat. They will go back. And if you look at the data in the last year and the previous years, I have been following this border LAC and LOC for last more than 6 years. And this has been the incident. It starts in the May or June, and it will continue till September. Then after that there will be a thaw, and they will go back, and there will be localized military commanders to commanders talk. Then everything will settle down. But to this time, this became a little bit more aggressive, given the skirmishes or the sort of scuffle happened between the two armies. That was the first initially reported. And also the other factor is the August 5 development. When we have had this the State Reorganization Act, and
what changes has that brought in the strategic thinking of the Chinese army? As soon as Ladakh was also made into a separate union territory, has that helped the Chinese strategy, or has that helped us?
See, it has been it is a political decision. The State Reorganization Act and creating a separate union territory and giving union territory status to the Ladakh, it's a political decision, and it has been over long due also. But the interesting thing is, when the Reorganization Act was presented in the Parliament, where the Home Minister has made a statement saying that we will give our life to safeguard, even to get back the Akshay chain. So that seems to have gone down differently with the Chinese strategics or those who are watching India and the strategic things. So since then, it has been there has been discussion. In fact, we also conducted some of the discussions where we also started thinking and what will be the status of the LAC based on this Reorganization Act. So this is an added factor for the Chinese to more aggressive. Perhaps they wanted. This is one sort of hypothesis. Perhaps they wanted to test the water, that to what extent that India can respond if you provoke here. And this particular eastern Ladakh, there are reports says there are area marked like finger 5, finger 4, and finger 8. Although there is no official communication that saying that this much area been encroached or occupied, or the Chinese troops are stationed here, but this is all open source facts. But this actually indicates that there is a sort of a design and planned action by the Chinese, unlike the previous episode.
Do you think there was an intelligence failure as well, that the Chinese troops gathered and we didn't know about it?
See, we can't think about it, because, and also I can't comment on that, because I don't think so there will be a lapse of intelligence failure. It is too early to comment on that unless until we see, because we don't know what sort of intelligence have communicated there. But the point is not the intelligence lapse or something like that, but the point is that there is an attempt by the Chinese to change the status quo. And now it is our response which is awaited. So I see as a strategic, from the strategic point of view, strategic studies point of view, I see there is a multi-layer response. So I think this is a welcome step. The senior officer, he's a corps commander, 14 corps commander, Lieutenant General Harinder Singh. I think this level of talk would ease the tension. I think there will be an understanding that the Chinese would also respect the status quo and retreat. This is what I feel. But if that doesn't happen, in a hypothetical situation, if that doesn't happen, then the matter will be dealt through diplomatic options. Then we have diplomatic options. If the diplomatic options fails, suppose because we have a kind of a different challenging relationship with China. And we see in our India-China relationship for the last 4-5 years, there is a sort of a new pattern emerging. You saw the Wuhan spirit, Wuhan meet. Now they had a Chennai Connect, and 2015 or 16, the Xi Jinping visited Ahmedabad soon after Modi became a prime minister. So these all indicates there is a personal sort of bonding which were being attempted by our side. But given these sort of developments, it is under now questionable that to what extent these sort of informal summit would help to have a better this mechanism would, because this mechanism seems to be ineffective in dealing with crisis, because otherwise there should have been a one phone call by the PMO office or some authority would have resolved that issue. This is the point. Then the last question comes that why China is doing it now. Then I will address your question about whether the Reorganization Act declaring the Ladakh as a union territory has strategically helped us. See, there are multiple narratives why China is doing it, but what I say is that now the China is under tremendous pressure from the international community. The post-Wuhan virus, I would say Wuhan virus, because the virus has come from Wuhan. So the image has totally damaged, and the Belt and Road Initiative, which is the brainchild of Xi Jinping, it's a pet project of Xi Jinping, and that also sets China into a global level. That is also under now. It is also, the image is also damaged, and they have invested in all the disputed areas like Gilgit-Baltistan, the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So if you see from that perspective, I think that China is also under which I am not going to delve deeply. There must be some domestic pressure within the Chinese political party or in the domestic. So they wanted to sort of divert the attention or to focus, to rake up these issues like borders and South China Sea, all these things. That is one proposition. But our question is not to why China is doing it, but the question is that how we should respond to it. If the China, so that the Chinese should not repeat again. So I expect that there should be a measured response to the Chinese act. I hope we will wait for this outcome of the military meeting. Some sense would prevail, and I think they will retreat and go back and maintain the status quo. The second point, there has been a misunderstanding, maybe perhaps this could be the China-Pakistan nexus, that ever since this August 5 Reorganization Act we brought and declared the Ladakh as a union territory, this from the Pakistani side, and there is a propaganda that to tell that the India is trying to recapture all the territories, which is sort of interpretation. So Chinese would have fallen into that. This is my feeling. Would have fallen into that argument that India may try to get back or provoke some sort of military adventurism. That is based on the fact that we have ramped up the infrastructure development activities in Ladakh and the border areas, which we have been BRO, Border Road Organization. They have been doing it. And the Chinese already saw our response in the Doklam. that how we, though it is a slow but it is a gradual response, we pursued that matter. So all it indicates that the Chinese also unsure about how India is going to react to it. Now the question you asked, whether the reorganization had actually helped strategically. I think it is a wise decision, and it is a long pending overdue decision, and the right time that we have taken the decision to reorganize the state and to make this Ladakh as a union territory. It is reasserting our claim on those disputed areas with a legitimate claim. This gives a legitimacy for our claim, the organization, right? But what I find is that there should be a follow-up strategic sort of posturing when you have declared. I think that last since August 5 to till now, there has been maybe a lot of other issues. The government is busy with the other issues, CAA and other domestic issues. So there should have been a considerable strategic focus should have been given on this side in order to anticipate these sort of provocations.
During the current meeting, what if the China does not want to back off and is stubborn about the current status quo? What are the chances that this will end up in a military fight?
See, I think that then this should be escalated to the diplomatic level. So the diplomacy will be having. We already have border talks with the Chinese, including the National Security Advisor and thing, and we have a very strong, robust diplomatic corps. They would be able to resolve this issue diplomatically with the Chinese and make them understand that let's maintain the status quo till all this dispute is resolved. So I think that it will be moved to the diplomatic level. Once the diplomatic level, I don't think so. The country is now, nobody is interested in going for a war, and I think there is no winner in the war if they go for it, especially India and China is concerned. But
how prepared are we if the things escalate?
I think we are very well prepared, unlike 1962 situation, and also globally we are very well placed. In terms of diplomatic, we will definitely have international community support, given the Chinese last 3 months due to the COVID-19 and all. I think that the Chinese would also realize that to a level we should not escalate. So this is to sort of to test and convey that we will not, but we should not also be hope that Chinese would change the stance, but we should be prepared and it should not repeat again and again. What happens is that this is also a challenge to our the regional power status in South Asia. Every small state in the South Asia are watching us, how India is reacting to this Chinese provocation, even though there are other side of the story. Even some of them, they say it is the India's policy which is that, but the Chinese small states are watching us. So this response would also give a signal to other small states to mend their behavior, not to balance China or use the China card with us and sort of doing some blackmailing activities that we saw in Nepal.
Also, I'd like to understand from you, what is the strategic importance of Zojila tunnel? Like, the project was supposed to be completed by now, but now once again the online e-tendering is going on. So what is the strategic importance of that tunnel? Why should it be completed as soon as possible?
See, I think I don't have specific details about the project, but Zojila, of course, it occupies one of the lifeline to access to thing. But we are also already prepared the other access in terms of connectivity to Leh via Leh Manali road, which is also sort of operationalized. But Zojila occupies, as you said, it is a very significant, strategically significant from the military perspective. And I think that the government will ramp up that infrastructure like other areas they have done it. For if you see, last 6 years, I've been here since 2013. The kind of infrastructure, the bridges which is happening in Jammu Kashmir state, the bridge which is on the Chenab, or even the railway connectivity, which is unprecedented. So the pace of development also indicates, so soon there will be a development. They will build that tunnel and all.
Like you also previously said, that China has been constantly intruding in Ladakh and then backing off. So why is that strategy part of China? Why are they doing this?
See, this is a sort of disputed, undemarcated line of actual control. And there are, I don't think so, this is not figured, because when you have a border talks, we mainly focus on the Arunachal Pradesh. That is the Trans-Himalayan things. But this is a sort of issue which we hardly ever touched upon, and this indicates that there is some sort of design for the Chinese to sort of provoke, and I strongly believe that there is some connection with the Belt and Road Initiative and the CPEC. This is also connected to the Gilgit-Baltistan, because what my understanding about the Chinese scholars, they don't see the map which we do. We see map. We see from the Western political map, like this is Gilgit-Baltistan, this is Pakistan occupied Jammu Kashmir. This they see this entire region in terms of dissected in valleys. Like Kargil is a valley, Nubra Valley, Galwan Valley. So they see in a valley, the traditional maps, the medieval maps. So their understanding of the boundaries and all, it's quite different from the British, which we are used to it and we were taught. So that is how they even in their language they give it different names. They call it in a different names. They don't call it the terminology which we use. Mm-hmm. So from that point of view, I think this aggression is sort of a big sort of unexpected and also unwarranted in the India-China relationship. Given the latest Chennai Connect, there was a hope. Even the people also very much close to the Chinese people, the way the Chinese president was received in Chennai, and the kind of euphoria which was created. But I have a feeling that this one issue should not affect our overall relationship, and that depends on the outcome of the talk today, the Lieutenant General meeting with the Chinese PLA meeting.
Alright, thank you so much, Dr. Jagannath, for talking to us. So this was all about what is happening in Ladakh and how China is constantly trying to intrude into Indian territory, and then backing off. It all depends on what happens in the Lieutenant General meeting today. Whether or not this will escalate further is yet to be seen. This is Pallavi Sareen signing off.